Hello friends, today I'll discuss about 11 kV BCB closing and tripping operation with the help of wiring diagram of 11 kV BCB panel. So here the closing circuit and tripping circuit diagram has been shown. Here in the left side the diagram for closing circuit has been shown, and in the right side the diagram for or drawing for tripping circuit has been shown. So in this video, I'll discuss how the remote closing and tripping operation is done. And after that, I will discuss about the protection trip of the 11 kV PCB panel. So in this figure, the closing circuit has been shown. So here, different components, that is the S8. S8 is local remote selector switch. So there are two options. Either we can select it in local position or we can select it remote position. Okay. And S7 is the TNC switch, that is trip neutral close switch. So by means of this switch we can close or trip the circuit breaker. Here TR1 is the limit switch contact of test position of the BCB. So when the BCB is under test position, the limit switch will be energized, and therefore the contact of this limit switch will be and changes position. So this contact has been shown under de-energized condition. So under test position, this contact will be in NC position. SR1 and SR2, these are the two contacts of the limit switch of VCB under service position. So when the VCB will be under service position, so this limit switch contact will be change its position and come to NC position from NO contact. So these are the NO position has been shown under limit switch under de-energized condition. So CCCC is the closing coil and K94 is the anti-pumping relay. Here this is the anti-pumping relay contact, and here these two contact are the circuit breaker or BCB auxiliary contact. These contact are shown in uh, de-energized condition, that is under normal condition or breaker off position, this contact will be NC and this contact will be NO. And there is in series with the closing circuit anti-pumping relay contact, that is the NC contact. So under local operation, that is this switch must be in local position, therefore the K1 DC coming from the fuse will be through this local remote selector switch contact, and as soon as we give him pulse from this TNC switch, this DC will come to K5 to this terminal. Okay. Now if the VCB remain in test position, this contact will be through, but this contact will be in NO position since VCB under in test position, not in service position. So this DC pulse will go through via this path and through the NC contact of the anti-pumping relay, through the NC contact of the breaker auxiliary switch, and this is the limit switch contact of the spring charge. Whenever the spring is charged, this contact will be in NC position. So the closing coil will be energized as soon as we give the closing pulse from the TNC switch under test position. So this is the closing operation for test position of the contact. Okay. Now if the breaker in service position, the path will be different. The closing path will be from K5 to the SR2 to SR1, since this two contact is provided for limit switch contact for a breaker under service position. So this contact will be in NC position under breaker service position. So the DC pulse will come through this SR2 SR1 contact via anti-pumping relay contact and through the breaker auxiliary contact and through the spring charge contact the closing coil. The closing coil will be energized and breaker will closed. So this is how the VCB closing operation is done under local position. Now here another contact has been called, that is the remote close operation of the circuit breaker. So for remote close operation, that is from RT or SCADA, this two terminal has been provided. So under this condition, this local remote selector switch will be remain in a remote position, and if you give a pulse from the SCADA or from RTU in service position, we can close the breaker. Okay, so this is the purpose of the remote close two terminal. Okay, now here anti-pumping relay has been provided in order to prevent multiple pulse to the closing circuit. So if you give another pulse to the closing circuit under breaker on position, the anti-pumping relay will energized. As soon as the anti-pumping relay is energized, this NC contact will change its state from NC to NO, and thereby it will cut to the another pulse to the closing circuit of the circuit breaker. Okay, so this is how the closing operation is done of the 11 kV VCB. Now in this figure, the tripping circuit has been shown. So here S8 is the local remote selector switch, S7 is the TNC switch, and here the two terminal has been shown for the remote operation, that is the operation of the circuit breaker from SCADA or RTU. S21 is the emergency push button for emergency trip. Here a lamp has been shown for the trip circuit healthy condition shown. So under healthy condition of the trip circuit, this lamp will be glow as a white color. Here TC is the trip coil of the circuit breaker, and these three are the auxiliary contact of the circuit breaker shown under circuit breaker off condition. So this is the NC contact of the auxiliary contact of the circuit breaker, and these two are the auxiliary contact of the circuit breaker. Now for remote tripping of the circuit breaker, this local remote selector switch will be in remote position, that is in this position. So from the SCADA or from RT, we can give the tripping pulse. So if you give the tripping pulse, this contact will be made, and this DC will pass through this local remote selector switch via this contact and come to the trip coil via auxiliary NO contact. Since breaker is on condition, this contact will come to NC position. So the trip coil will be energized and breaker will tripped. Now for local tripping of the circuit breaker, this local remote selector switch will remain in local position. So this is the local position and this is the remote position. So if we give a tripping pulse from this TNC switch, the positive DC coming from, that is the K31T, coming from local remote selector switch via TNC switch to this K35T, and via this auxiliary contact, since breaker is on condition, this auxiliary contact come to NC position, the trip coil will get a positive DC voltage, that is 240 volt DC voltage, and the trip coil will be energized and breaker will be tripped. Okay, now this is given for the emergency trip of the circuit breaker. So by pushing this push button, the emergency trip of the circuit breaker can be done. So here the positive DC coming from uh, K31T will pass as soon as we press this push button, and it will go through the trip coil, and the trip coil will be energized and it will send a trip signal of the circuit breaker. Again here the protection trip circuit has not been shown. Here the protection trip circuit will remain under parallel of this emergency trip contact. So under fault condition, if relay detect the fault, the relay will make it contact. That is the NO contact will be come to NC position, and it will send a trip signal to the circuit breaker under fault condition to isolate the faulty circuit from the system. So this is how the remote tripping, the tripping operation is done. And here the trip circuit supervision lamp has been given. this lamp has some certain resistance. Via this resistance, the trip circuit is continuously supervised. That is two conditions. One is the before the closing of the circuit breaker, another is the after the closing of the circuit breaker. So pre-close supervision is done via this resistance of this lamp, via this auxiliary NC contact and the trip coil. So here the path for the pre-close supervision, and for the post-close supervision, the supervision is done from this lamp resistance by this path, and this is the NO contact of the auxiliary contact. When the breaker is on, this contact will be NC position. So via this auxiliary contact and auxiliary contact of the breaker, and this is how the trip coil is supervised under breaker on condition or after the closing of the breaker. So this is how the breaker's trip circuit is supervised under both the condition. So this is the operation of the circuit breaker, that is the closing operation, tripping operation, and trip circuit supervision operation. So friends, if you like my video, then do subscribe my channel and also press bell button for notification of videos to be uploaded in future. Thank you for watching this video.